simple, so you have to uphold that. So putting the correct amount of food, the right types of food, to make sure you get all your vitamins and your minerals, because our body is comprised of mostly minerals, so that's important not to forget those. Water. You talked about how you were doing half of your body weight in ounces. Like I said, I've been trying to get that 128 ounces, that gallon in each day. So make sure we're getting that water in, because water is probably the number one body lubricant, like oil is for a car. So that's our lubricant for our body. So make sure we're drinking our water. Sleep. Make sure we get those Z's in. Especially those college students can't be staying up all night. Having too good of a time. Make sure we get some rest.
See, that's where time management comes in. You got to be able to time it right so you can still get the sleep in.
Exactly. Time management. Gotta have that. If you're going to do that, make sure you have that time management so you can give your body optimal rest. And think of sleep as your time to repair, right? That's the time for your body
Exactly.
to repair itself. Yeah. So even
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, that's like when your muscles are finally like recovering activity that you had that day, just your body in general, like your heart rate, everything is adjusting to that day you've had. And to sleeping is just like nothing but love to the body once
Sure
it's
is.
had such an active day.
Yep. And then you went into training, and that's the time when we got to put in the work. We can do all those other things. We can eat the right food, we can drink the amount of water, we can sleep. But if it's not time, we don't punch our clock in. It's time to do weights. If it's not time, if we're not on that line by the time the coach says we're supposed to be on. If we haven't completed stretches, dynamic stretching, and stuff like that. So we have to be able to put in the training and the time so we can maximize our performance. So
Yeah.
now I want to go into a little bit. Like I said, I'm talking to a record holder, guys. I'm not talking to an athlete. But when we did the when I pre-recording questions and stuff like that, and some questionnaire stuff, talking Miss Kristoni Barnes, some of the stuff she was putting on her document. She said, "Oh yeah, I'm the record holder." And I said, "Okay." And when she said some of her pictures, she showed me the rings and everything and all the medals and stuff. So guys, I'm talking to a record holder, a champion, someone that's playing at the highest level. And so now I want to pick your brain a little bit about some advice you could give some of high school athletes, not just for
Yeah.
track and field, but for any sport. How can we maximize our ability at that next level, college?
Yeah, so definitely all the things I did say as far as nutrition and training. Um, I think what is like very important it will be to try to learn early time management and get that down pat. That will be a lifesaver for when you advance, even if it's not in sports, just in life in general. Time management will make your life a lot easier in general, and it will definitely translate into being a successful student athlete. Probably quite a few. Um, be coachable. Make sure that you're able to receive criticism and not to take things personally. Because hopefully, the coaches that you're under or with, they want you to succeed as much as you want to succeed as well. So they should be giving you advice to make you better, um, just for like your own sake, and for them as well. So one thing about track and field is you have to take in the small wins sometimes, and this is probably in any sport, but I can definitely speak to track and field. Like you definitely have to have a positive outlook your performances. So you may not have I may have like this past weekend I did not run a time that I wanted, but I executed my race better than I had the weekend before. So for me that was a small win. Um, I did better on my first 200 than I did the weekend before that. So that was a small win for me too. So it was just a lot of small things that really add up to a big win for me. And I think it'll be translatable in my races later. So you really have to have a positive outlook. You have to do is that I have like a 24-hour rule for myself. So if I have a bad performance, I can dwell on it for 24 hours at max. After 24 hours, it is time to get rid of the negativity, the dwelling, the sadness about how I performed, and start thinking about the positives and just be like realistic. Okay, what did I do that I don't want to do next time? Or did I not do that I should do next time? And it's just and be positive and move forward. I think that is something that you kind of have to have as a person, just in general, to be successful, is to be able to kind of manage the good with the bad and then seeing what you do with it, you know. So those are some really some of my best advice. I would definitely say feed yourself. I guess overall really is invest in yourself and feed yourself. So whether that's your body, nutrition, water, and feeding your mind. So make sure you are encouraging yourself. No self-doubting. You know, sports, especially as a student athlete, I set the bar high for myself in academics and athletics. So when I don't reach that bar per se at that very moment, sometimes it can be discouraging. But I have to look at the big picture, and that just happened in that moment. That is not that bad race, bad grade or rejection doesn't define me. It is not who I am. It's just something that I choose to see as a lesson. Is go and just maximize your ability, and then really holding yourself accountable. Okay, so like be realistic with yourself. If you know you have not been putting in the effort, you've been lazy, you know you have been sleeping, you have been eating right, you know, evaluate yourself. Self-evaluation is a beautiful thing, and no judgment whatsoever. It's you just evaluating what you have done, and
Yeah.
to be realistic with ourselves. And I think that that helps a lot. So looking at what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and then enhancing your strengths, and then every day work on your weaknesses also. So I think
That, yeah. That's
learning about yourself will help you.
yeah. Yeah, you filled my notepad up. Like I said, and guys, you might see me writing while they're talking, is because, like I said, I'm a current student at North Carolina A&T State University. So, um, I'm also a student. So just because I'm the owner of this business and I'm the podcast host, I'm never turning my ear to listen or to learn. So that's why I write down all these notes that she talked about, because these are life skills right here. Coachable, learning to accept the small wins, accountability, losses don't define you. All the 24 hours rule, like all of that is great and so powerful, not only in your athletics but in life. Like, look, coach, being coachable. My high school coach used to always say, "Coach me, coach," because it's that response to say, "I'm not taking what you're telling me personal. I'm taking it because I know that, you know, I might not like how it's coming out, but it's to make me better." Losses don't define you. I think this is very big because we're all going to have those losses that, you know, are going to happen. You know, losses are inevitable. They're going to happen, but it's how you're going to respond to the loss. Are you going to mope about it? Are you going to cry about it? Or are you going to attack the next week saying, "Let me figure out how I can be better. Let me watch film. Let me see where my mistakes were. How could I get up the break faster?" All those different things. How can I make myself better? So next time I'm in competition, I won't make those mistakes, or I won't be in the same position as I was in that first loss. Right? Accountability. Accountability. My defensive coordinator, Coach Gerald Kennedy, always says your best ability is accountability, and that's profound, because if you can't hold yourself to a certain standard, how can you expect your teammates to hold themselves? How can you, as a leader, hold your teammates saying, "Guys, you shouldn't do that," but you did it too? So that's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest part of being a leader is, first, you know, like that's why I say find your me. Find your me is, you know, being able to make sure everything, your house is in order. Make sure everything within yourself is to that standard before you start telling others or asking of others. So accountability, that's big. The 24-hour rule. Guys, she's dropping gems on us. These are some things that you can directly apply to your life. Like, Even if you're not an athlete, you can apply this to your job. You can apply this to school. You can apply this to whatever you're doing. Like you're trying to start a business, anything. You can apply these things. But even athletes, especially, make sure you're applying these things so that you can be able to maximize your performance. Okay, now let's move into my final question, a question that I like to always ask all my special guests because it's the basis of what my business is. Um, like I said, I started this podcast because this is a branch off. This podcast is a branch off of what the basis of what my business is. It's to motivate it's to motivate and empower, right? To find your me within yourself, who you are, what's going to make you go, right? And so we talked about me and you talked about how you had adversity, right, with an injury, right, at the USA track and field nationals. So I want you to go, and it was touching to me because when you were telling me, and I saw injury, and I was like, wow, the injury took her out. She said, no, I'm gonna keep on going. I'm not going. I came here for a reason. And even you and your mom, I'm gonna let you tell the story, but this is powerful, guys, and it just made me want to strap up the shoulder pads, lace up the cleats one more time, because I'm saying, what? She said she got into. Okay, I'm gonna let you go, and I just want to go into a little bit about your story and how you were able to make the most of that opportunity.
Yeah, so 800 was my last tried event in track and field, and I actually ended up being very successful in it when I first tried it. I qualified for the USATF Nationals, and leading up to that event, I actually found out that I had an injury, and man, that was super disheartening. Because I had worked so hard. Like I said, an athlete, you just work. And so to get to the big dance, as someone might say, to go to nationals, qualify, you earn the position to get there, and then to find out that you're injured, it was definitely devastating. Bumps in the road is kind of just part of the process, especially like, as an athlete, you might have little tweak or so after wearing and tearing a lot. At the biggest competition that I ever had been to in my life, in track and field, so that was the first part of it. So I was recommended not to necessarily run at this event because of my injury. They didn't say I couldn't, but my doctor recommended that I did not run. I could not let this injury define the ending to my season. And at these meets, a lot of times college coaches recruit at the national meets. So it's not really, college coaches don't only recruit at high school competitions. They come to summer track or travel AAU competitions to recruit their athletes. And in this particular nationals, it was junior year, which is where I really got started in doing the 800. So I was being recruited, and so I was expected to make the finals at this meet, so that all the college coaches, that's really where the college coaches look for the athletes at the finals. And so obviously it takes in track, top 8 usually make it to finals. This track in particular had 9 lanes in prelims. I came in 9th in a take top 8,000th of a second. So like the disappointment was just building and building. Like, I overcame the injury. I put that aside in my mind. I was like, I'm gonna run. Like, this is mind over matter at this point. I'm gonna run. And so I did run in prelims, and then to come just so short per se, making it could end like this. And I don't know if it was because I just wouldn't believe it was going to end like this. So this is where another good thing comes into, like having good counsel. So my mom and I, we kind of like called around to like my coaches I've had who are very familiar with the ins and outs of the policies and the bylaws and USATF, and we got some great advice on how to approach this. So we kind of contested. It was like a 9 lane track. I was ninth by so little, so that it wasn't clear to me that I didn't belong because I was right there. Like the time was the same. It was just in 800. The main time, I mean, to lose by like 100 by 1,000 of a second, like that's a big difference, in sprinting. But in 800, that is not a big difference. So my mom and I, we sought counsel, we got some advice, and mostly a lot of prayer and belief. For me, is a strong power. I believe a strong power and belief. I had to start focusing on visions. As Joe Dispenza would say, I listen to him when I meditate. Joe Dispenza, focus on visions of the future and not memories of the past. So I could not continue focusing on not making it to finals. I had to start visualizing and seeing myself in the final race and how I would execute that race. So being top 8, I was already ahead in my mind. I was running the race. I was making it to finals. So to me, I had done everything I could. Officials of the meet allowed me to enter. I was in lane 9. The 9th lane, they typically only take top 8, but they had 9 lanes, so they allowed me to be the 9th finalist. And in that race, I ended up placing well beyond what I was ranked. So technically, I was ranked 9th, but I ended up placing 6th place and becoming All-American for the first time. And being on the stage, getting that medal was my first experience at a national meet. Because obviously, I played team sports, so winning that race as an individual after what I had been through with the injury, surpassing that, and that 6th place medal was, I feel like, first place winner.
Yeah.
Determined. I was just determined to run and then to be successful in that run. Experience. Sometimes I remember that experience when I think about adversities I have now, to trying to emulate that too, making sure that I do my part, that I can do everything that I can within my control. It kind of reminds me of the idea of like faith without works. So I did my works and I'm allowed my faith to do the rest.
Yep. That I wanna touch on some about your story that you said. You talked about determination and how you were like that. That 6th place felt like a first place, and I want to speak on that because when I was going through my adversity, just being able to get back to play, like it was kind of like a mindset switch where everything isn't just about winning. It's just being able to see what my body can do when I'm determined. When I apply myself to a certain level and say, I don't care what an injury says, I don't care what a doctor says, I don't care what my physical body thinks it's saying, I'm going to continue to push myself and continue to motivate myself to say, I'm going to accomplish this. And there's so much power in your story because you didn't allow your injury, your physical hurt to say, okay, my physical hurt is going to make me mentally hurt, emotionally hurt, spiritually hurt, all those different things. You didn't allow that physical hurt to, affect those other regions. And you said, no, I'm going to continue to run. And determination is the 3rd valley of my diagram for my business, where I say, how do we set goals? How do we achieve what we want to achieve, right? And my 4 valleys is, first is visualization, visualizing your goal. Then the 2nd valley is realization, realizing what you want to accomplish and everything that it's going to take, so you understand, what am I going to need? What am I going to have to do? And then the 3rd valley is determination. The 4th valley is domination, but the 3rd valley is determination. Okay, now it's time to work. Now when things go against what you want to do, you got to keep on going. You can't stop now. And your story is so powerful. And like I said, I even, I felt the power when I was reading on that document that you sent me, how you were able to continue to push. You talked about your counsel, how, you teamed up with your mom went to the ref, looked at the judges and say, I see that extra lane open. I see that nice lane, and y'all ain't going to kick me out for 1,000 of a second. I'm gonna continue to run. And I know the power of what a mama can do.
Oh
And
yes.
like I know, trust me, I know. So having that with you, having that backing, someone that believes in you also is so powerful. And that has even, that's extrinsic motivation. You have that motivation within yourself that tells you, so I want to accomplish this, I want to do that. But just imagine, you have someone beside you, someone that's not in the event, but they're saying, hey, you can do it, just keep on going. That added pressure, that added power, that just gives you what you need. And so I'm glad that you shared your story with us. I felt the power from it, and I know all my viewers have. Miss Kristoni Barnes, you touched a lot of people today with your story and with everything. A new notebook, but it's okay. It is okay. You filled my notebook up with so much knowledge. Any final remarks that you would like to have?
Yes. I would definitely say, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to research on your own. Some of the things I've learned within the sport itself, I actually just educated myself. I watched YouTube videos. I read books. I called some of my favorite coaches, or the coaches that invested in me the most, who believed in me most. I wisdom, so I didn't hesitate to call them to seek counsel about anything. Just ask questions. We live in a time where we have access to so many resources. Even some of your probably favorite athletes, who are celebrities, like, don't be afraid to DM them. You never know. The worst they can do is not respond, but like, you never know if they do respond, what they might say to you, or how you asking them has helped them also advocate for yourself, or keeping somebody in your corner too who believes in you. You have definitely need to believe in yourself, but it also makes a world of difference when you have someone or others who also believe in you. So definitely advocate for yourself when you know you belong, because that was part of my story. Like, I knew I belonged in that final race. And
First, I want to say thank you for joining the podcast with me. Thank you for accepting the invitation. Like I said, thank you for your powerful words on everything. First being an athlete, and then also your life gems that you shared with us. Power of determination, being optimistic, having that positive outlook. Some of the things that you said. So thank you. I want to thank you, Miss Barnes, for coming on the show today. I hope you have a blessed night, and thank you.
thank you so much for having me. I hope you have a great night as well.
All right, no problem. Guys, this was amazing. I hope you felt the power out of every single word that she said, the stories that she shared. It was very inspirational, especially to me, because having that same story, kind of like when she talked about her personal story with her injury and trying to make the most of that opportunity at USA Track and Field Nationals. She didn't stop. Like I said, she didn't let her physical hurt affect her mental and her emotional. She allowed all those things around her to continue to press on, continue to make the most of that opportunity. And so I thank Miss Kristoni Barnes for coming on, sharing that knowledge. It was great, very powerful. And I'm gonna start doing that, actually. Some of the notes that I write down, because I know it's kind of hard for you to be writing notes and then watching at the same time. So guys, what I'm gonna start doing is I'm gonna start writing out the notes and making open documents. So some of the viewers who want to go back and who want to take those notes, you can download your own copy. You can have it for yourself. But guys, that's the end of this episode. This will be cut in 2 parts. But remember, have a me day, stay motivated, and stay empowered.